Yes. Yeah. Yeah. What's up, girl? It's a balloon party, Jackson. It's unbelievable.
It is. I can't believe it.
It's driven by Munganess St. Louis Acura, Munganess Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. My name is Timothy Michael McKernan. That's Jackson Burkett. And this is a program that solicits your involvement by texting in to the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646 and by trying to join the Balloon Party Mafia. I don't know if Don Pepe will let you in or not. I guess he's kind of, Johnny Depp, and you can be Al Pacino. See if you can get in.
Donnie Brasco?
Donnie Brasco. Good or bad?
It's good.
Oh, wow. It's not real good, though.
Yeah, it's not something I revisit often.
Are you happy with the Academy Awards?
Overall, yeah. I filled out a ballot, kind of did everything.
Oh, you're on the Academy?
Definitely not in that sense. But
when will you be?
Soon enough.
Yeah, it's goodorbad.com continues to grow with its market share.
That's right. But I don't want to muddle up the waters there. I kind of want to be objective. But I filled out right beforehand, and I got most of it right. A couple of surprises on there. But
you were really unhappy about Emma Stone.
Not unhappy. I think she was deserving, but I think Lily Gladstone was a little bit more deserving. It took me by a little bit of surprise.
You thought De Niro should have gotten Best Supporting Actor?
No. Danny Jr. very much deserves that. And
that's his first Academy Award since playing Anthony Michael Hall's wild friend in 1987 or 88's Johnny Be Good with Uma Thurman.
Maybe he deserved it for that, but that was Downey's first win ever. That's what happens when you get stuck in the
How excited are you that Cillian Murphy won?
It's probably the most deserving out of anyone at the awards this year. So
wow.
Very, very excited for him.
Who had the best speech?
Oh, man, good question. I really liked Emma Stone's. I thought it was I thought it was really good. It was real raw emotion there. You could tell she was pretty surprised, and I really liked that.
All right. Jackson's official Academy Awards review. He'll have more for you coming up on the Piddles podcast, which is brought to you by goodorbad.com, which I am the lead investor in. Still haven't seen a monetization strategy, but I like what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Amazon didn't turn a profit for 20 years.
Right, but they did have a strategy.
Well, yeah, eventually.
That's right. Jackson, it's the Little Piddles weekend wrap-up, and I can't wait to hear what you're going to lead with. I feel like you could go three different ways.
I think, while I definitely could do that, Tim, I think the correct lead is the Blue Note. I think the Blues, because the Cardinals season hasn't started just yet, kind of...
A lot of players going away.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that for sure coming up. But we're going to kick it off with the Blue Note standing pat as the deadline is passed. What are your thoughts on what the Blues did and didn't do prior to the deadline? Also, what does it seem like the short-term and long-term plan for the Blues are?
Well, I enjoy the second question. The first question is, as things were playing out, it became rather clear that it was a buyer's market, and not just kind of a buyer's market. It was a major buyer's market, in my assessment, at the NHL trade deadline. And so from that standpoint, you don't just trade to trade.
Yeah.
So I understand it. It was a unique answer Doug Armstrong gave in saying that we didn't play well, so nobody really wanted our guys.
It's tough.
Over the last couple of weeks. I also thought I felt like he implied that fans wanted them to be buyers, and I'm wondering where he saw that, but maybe it was a bad read on my part, but that's kind of what I took a lot of it from.
Yeah,
I don't know who thought that. No. As far as the Blues strategy, that's the part that's so disheartening about this. I don't know what they can do. I think I know what the strategy is, but they're not going to publicly say it because it would be so irritating to the fan base.
Right.
And the strategy is it ain't going to happen for a while. It would be a huge surprise if it happened in 25. And by it, I'm not talking about a run at the Cup. I'm talking about getting to be one of the top 10 teams in the regular season.
Yeah.
So, yeah, theoretically, you can get into the postseason. It leads to a variety of questions. And these questions aren't newfound, this trade deadline opens our eyes. I think for, observers of the Blues, and Jeremy Rutherford will join us at 10:45 to get his perspective on it. This isn't really a revelation, but it just forces us now to stare into the abyss And the abyss is, barring a mathematical phenomenon, the Blues aren't going to the playoffs this year. They didn't do anything at the trade deadline. They are stuck with contracts that they are not going to be able to move. They have invested highly in one forward who appears to be living up to the investment in Robert Thomas, and they have invested highly in another forward who has not, and who may be a problem contractually as this thing goes on, which may force them into a significant decision before his no-trade clause kicks in Jordan Kyrou. Then you have the contracts to the defensemen. You have the contract to Braden Shen. And you go, well, where is there even room to make a significant upgrade to put yourself in a better position for 2025? And I just don't think that there is. And so that's really disheartening. It's really frustrating. And when you don't really have a whole lot to debate, then it kind of makes it blah. Right. I suppose you can debate whether or not you think Doug Armstrong should be under more fire, but I don't really know if anything, minus parting ways with Craig Berube when he did, is anything that's new from October. You knew what you had in October. These contracts didn't just like spring up. I suppose what we now, and I would imagine a lot of us may feel, but I don't want to put words in listeners' mouths. I would imagine if you were still hopeful that Jordan Kyrou would emerge in October, I can't imagine you feel as confident now that we are in the middle of March. And I would imagine you feel even more strongly about Robert Thomas in a positive way than you did in October. And as far as somebody who has emerged as both with performance on the ice and I think off the ice, which can be an encouraging part of the whole game, I think in particular perhaps in hockey, is what you've gotten from Jake Neighbors this year. You had a goaltender who has performed out of his mind for the most part in Jordan Binnington, and it still wasn't enough. So from that standpoint, listen, I'd be happy to find a real positive. I think the positives are probably guys who aren't on the team yet, and so they're just kind of stuck. And that sucks because you can't even get excited about the off season, because there isn't much to do. That's really rough.
Yeah.
And then to take it from a bigger picture perspective on the leader of the organization, okay, if you're going to go, we aren't going to be there for a couple of years anyway. If you are an established head coach, whether it's somebody who's behind a bench right now who's going to lose their job in a month and a half when their team gets bounced in the first round, or somebody who's on the sidelines right now but has had success in the NHL, who is going to want to, with that resume, take over what is, you can call it a rebuild or retool. It doesn't matter. What is an organization that is not on the precipice of success? It may be, but it's a couple of years away. And so from that standpoint, just as discussing this, but then also as a fan, you're not necessarily watching the rebuild or the retool because you still have this veteran core of defensemen who are overpaid and underproductive, and you're stuck with them. And then you have Braden Shen, and God bless him, but that's a problem as far as that deal goes. And then you go, okay, well, it'll be exciting to watch Jordan Kyrou develop, but if anything, it's frustrating. It's not exciting. And so then what direction do you go there? What direction do you go with the head coach? Do you go, okay, we'll keep Drew Bannister in the spot? I don't know. It's disheartening. And I suppose you already knew this before Friday at 2 p.m., but now that Friday at 2 p.m. is in the rearview mirror and the next thing to look forward to, most likely, barring some kind of ridiculous run, and they do have 1 billion home games left after they come home from Boston tonight, is the summer and the draft and the offseason moves. And so, Jackson, it's a different kind of thing because last year when they were clearly not going to get it done, and you knew that in mid-January, like, okay, what are they going to get for O'Reilly? What are they going to get for Tarasenko? What are they going to get for Barbashev? Where are they going to wind up finishing in the draft? What can they acquire with all those picks? Now it's just kind of like, oh, here they are. It's treading water. And so the Blues now find themselves in a similar spot to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
In that the Cardinals do have some young players, but they also have some aging players, both ones that they just acquired, and also this hope that Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt will bounce back from disappointing years last year and then still have some big years in the tank, and that's possible. But either way, neither team has a real clear direction.
Yeah.
And I think that's a source of frustration. And I don't really know what can change in the short term for either organization. And that's a source of frustration. So that's where I am. What do you think, sir?
Like the overarching for both teams, because you're absolutely right. There are parallels to both in the state of the franchise, but the overarching problem or current issue, and it much more affects the Cardinals and the Blues, is the TV money. And that's such a big part of it. And it's frustrating for fans because we don't have all the information. It's also teams.
It's also frustrating just if you want to watch games.
That alone, yeah, that's the basis. Not to mention, it's like these are billion-dollar problems for billion-dollar people. And it's like that's a little frustrating for the common fan. And it's all overarching. Like I said, it's more of a problem for the Cardinals given the constraints of Major League Baseball versus NHL in terms of salary cap. But it is certainly both very present on both teams, and they're kind of stuck in neutral in a way, and there's no clear answer to when that's going to end, what it's going to be, what it's going to look like after the deal is done. We have no idea, and that's frustrating as well because, again, billion-dollar problems for billion-dollar people.
Your thoughts are welcome on the topic, 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line, and you can watch Jackson and I host Balloon Party on the YouTube channel, Balloon Party Mafia, very active. Tiny Peepee is in there. So is John's. You pronounce it Scores?
Yeah, we'll go with Scores.
Eric Nickens, I Hate Paper Straws, all in there talking it over. Join in. And Jackson's wearing a TMA hoodie. It says B-Fib, and you are one of the best fans in baseball.
I'm the.
And you have your TPC Scottsdale hat on.
Yeah, kind of matches the color-wise.
I have my St. Louis Dogs hat on.
Yeah, big
Dogs got a draw, should have gotten a W, dominated play, scoring opportunities galore. We'll talk about that coming up in Austin on Saturday night and the morning after. What does this little thing say? A lowbrow joint.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That's what it is. It is a lowbrow joint. All right, there it is. The table has been set. Little Piddles weekend review coming up, and Jeremy Rutherford at 10:45. Looking forward to getting his perspective on what we just discussed in the first segment on the state of the Blues. That's all coming your way here on Balloon Party. This is 101 ESPN. James Carlton, Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency, my insurance agent. Phone number 314-961-4800. Go online at carltoninsurance.net. When you call there during business hours, you are talking to a live person who is right here in the St. Louis area working at that Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency in Webster Groves. The same one that has 360 five-star reviews when you type in James Carlton State Farm in Google. How about this one? Let me see what I got here, Jackson. All right, this one comes from Nancy Stiles. Unfortunately, my car was stolen a few months ago. Stephanie and the team at James Carlton's office were communicative and helpful every step of the way. She checked in often to facilitate pickup from the tow yard, the decision to total the car, and steps needed to send us the insurance money. Losing my car in such a violating way was obviously a terrible experience, but Stephanie and her colleagues made sure it went as smoothly as possible. They were there exactly when we needed him. No surprise, that's James Carlton and his team at the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. Welcome back. This is Balloon Party. My name is Tim McKernan. The program is driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you for 1 hour, and we welcome you to participate in the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, and then the YouTube chat on the 101 ESPN channel where it's very active, and I like to see that. Ask Jackson what his favorite Rolling Stone song is. That's from the 573.
Give Me Shelter.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I like Martin Scorsese movies, and he uses that song
What
often.
films has he? Because I think he's used it in 2. Am I right?
3, actually.
3, nerves.
Goodfellas, I'm pretty sure 3. You can text in if I'm wrong. Goodfellas, Casino, and then ran it back and Departed.
Wow, so that's kind of a signature play.
Yeah, he loves, he's got a really, if you're talking pop music, Scorsese knows what he's doing.
You know, he didn't win Best Director last night?
He didn't. Nolan did, and I think that was deserving.
You're happy with that?
I actually think the winner wasn't nominated, but...
Oh, who was the winner? Wow.
I think Greta Gerwig was most deserving.
Wow, you
For
enjoyed the
Barbie.
film Barbie. I have not seen it.
Really good. Oppenheimer's outstanding, too. It deserved everything it got, but...
Margot Robbie was not nominated.
Also,
and I saw your tweets about that. You said a thread.
Definitely not. I would never say such a thing, but she should have been nominated. I don't think was the right winner, but she should have been nominated. But I think Nolan was also very deserving for Oppenheimer. That movie's awesome.
It was great to hear Pittles making his Apple TV color analyst debut on the City game in Austin Saturday night. Seriously, that dude sounded exactly like him, all monotone and semi-nasally and whatnot.
Oh, that's nice.
618. Yeah, that's a nice compliment. You were on the call in Austin, but you're back here today.
Yeah, busy day. Yeah, coming shooting right up from Texas.
All right. I actually did. I don't like to do broadcast because it's never personal and it's so subjective.
Sure.
I think my greatness is objective.
Right. Definitely. It's like Jordan. But
it can be traced back to dollars. What else matters? Right?
Yeah, certainly in some businesses, that's absolutely the case.
But what businesses? Show me the business where money doesn't matter.
Well, not necessarily they're the Renaissance is a time where rich people would just give money.
The Renaissance.
Well, it's just
that's where you had to go.
Well, rich people give money to great artists just to make great art. That was something where business wasn't important.
How do you know rich people aren't bankrolling me to give this great art every day?
I would love to meet those people. Can I get a little? I'll be great.
Jackson announces he will be great.
Yeah, I'm great for hire.
Yeah, but I did think, I was like, this broadcast. This broadcast. That's what I was thinking. This broadcast.
There's so many teams in the MLS. They all.
Sounds like Jackson wants to see teams contracted.
No, it's just the MLS is they all play Saturday at about the same time, depending on where they are in the country. Usually 7:30 standard for Central Time, and they
heading out to Carson, California this Saturday, Jack.
Yeah, Galaxy. And so they're I just feel like they have to have so many broadcast teams doing soccer and Americanized versions of soccer and the way it's talked about in America. So it's tough to get top tier broadcasters for every single game.
I understand. Hey, we probably have a Cardinal question because it's spring training report, and I've led the show astray.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
This is our thing.
Well, you're going to host better is what you're going to do. That's what I need to do. I need to host better. Can I host better? I think I can.
The Cardinal season hasn't even started yet, and they have an array of injuries. We often talk about the Cardinals' trouble with talent evaluation and money allocation, but I guess an underrated weakness is their assessment of injuries. Do you think I don't know
if that's underrated. That's a quarter of a century of magic.
Yeah. So do you think the problem is necessarily in the assessment of injuries or getting proper depth to cover said injuries? Or both? Could it be a combination of both?
I sometimes feel like I not only host this program, but I also host a PR seminar on this program.
Yeah.
And because there is such a track record of giving optimistic injury reports, here is what I would say, should I become the next president of baseball operations for the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that I'm going to get it. Let's just say I expect to get a call.
Yeah, no doubt. Couple of calls.
At least. I know Cardinal fans are frustrated by injuries, especially at this time of the season. And if you're a longtime fan of our organization. I know some may feel like we've been optimistic with our projections on the return of our players. And so because of that, and because of that track record, we want to make sure that we don't get anybody's hopes up. Our goal is to get our team on the field as quickly as possible. And even though there have been a large number of injuries, none of them are severe. And so we're hopeful that we'll have all full roster ready to go at some point in April. And then at that point, you've covered, you've given, you know what you've done?
Shot straight.
You've underpromised, and then you set up to overdeliver.
Yeah.
And I feel like they do the opposite, and it irritates people. So Sonny Gray's thing was labeled as encouraging. The man threw for the first time in a week today. You know, I mean, he's not around the corner.
Right.
You got the Tommy Edmonds situation. Now you got the Lars Nootbaar situation. Lance Lynn got ejected somehow twice, which is a miracle.
That was awesome.
And I don't know what, off-season training routine he was in, but, you saw that situation on Friday. So it was not necessarily, by my literal interpretation of the word encouraging, an encouraging week for the Cardinals.
No.
Kyle Gibson got hit around.
A little bit,
They let the youngster Graceffo out there. That didn't go well.
Right. Lance Lynn getting kicked out twice.
By Angel Hernandez. And Lynn goes, he's in midseason form. Lance Lynn didn't give an F when he was young in the game and would say stuff.
Yeah. Now
it's just going to be.
He could have crawled faster to leave the bullpen, to leave the outfield. Right. He was walking as slow as a human could walk to make a point.
Oh, God. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I mean, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
I would say this if the numbers were great.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be consistent. The spring training numbers just don't concern me. They just don't. I can't. And my main reason for that is because I used to pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then in talking to both players, managers, coaches, they'd just be like, we don't really pay. We pay attention to caliber of at-bats or caliber of the pitches that were thrown, hitting locations, velocity, if we know they're working on velocity. But sometimes they're out there and they're just trying to work on their changeup, and they don't really care. I mean, they leave. You can see them walk off the field in the second inning.
Get in their cars.
I mean, Paul Goldschmidt was calling a golf tournament while the Cardinals were playing, and he started in the game. And he drove her to PGA National. So it gives you an idea of so even if they were killing it, I wouldn't be. But then people would say, if I were saying that, you're just being down on the team. So in this case, it might say, you're trying to spin it positively. The media in this town's so soft, or whatever crap it is. I'm just telling you, they could be killing it. They can be doing what they're doing. Goldschmidt's hitting $111. I just can't get too worked up about it. What is an issue is that they are not healthy.
Yeah.
And they already were likely going to have some issues with health just based on the age of the team. And you're a couple weeks into games and you already have what you've got. And a couple of these guys were guys who haven't even seen the field yet. So it's a problem. And that part is concerning. But again, it's a division where, if you said you can get a nice price on the Pirates, I'd go fine. I mean, anybody can win this thing.
Yeah, totally.
So is it really hurting the Cardinals' division chances? I don't know. I mean, I just think anybody can win it because it's such a terrible division. Jackson, do you have another question? You probably do, but it's 10:30 and I should break.
All right.
That's what I should do. 10:30, time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. One of the things that can be a headache in life is if you need a new car, you need to get your car serviced, or you need to just get a car, pre-owned car. It doesn't matter. It can be a headache. I know the program. I would imagine everyone hearing me talk about this knows what the experience is like. And then you meet Jamie Burkhardt. And then you meet Jamie Burkhardt, brother. And all of a sudden, that which used to be a negative becomes a positive because you look forward to talking with them. You look forward to getting to work with them. And those are the people at Munganess St. Louis Acura and Munganess Burkhardt Alton Toyota. And so now, if I have an issue with my car, if I have a question, I know that I'm going to get an answer quick, fast, in a hurry. And you say, well, Tim, you're an A-list celebrity. You were at the Oscars last night. You, of course, are going to get that service. And I go, I get that. But they give a secret number for people who are meat and potatoes people, just like I was at one time. And that number is 314-252-0029. And you can call it or text it. And you're talking right with Jamie Burkhardt, Clayton Patterson, and Peter Munganast. And you're also talking with Ryan Seiberg in the service department. You're working with the best. And they're online at stlouisacura.com and altontoyota.com.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues are back in action tonight as they take on the Boston Bruins. You can catch that game right here, the home of the Blues, 101 ESPN pregame at 5 p.m. and the puck drops at 6 p.m. And last night, the Thunder defeat the Grizzlies 124-93. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 23 points. That was another Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back. This is Balloon Party 101 ESPN. My name is Tim McKernan. That's Jackson Burkett, and Jeremy Rutherford is going to join us coming up in about 8 minutes. He wrote a scathing column this morning, I thought, on The Athletic regarding, a lot of people are blaming Doug Armstrong, but the Blues have a roster that other teams weren't interested in. And sure, some of that's on Armstrong, but then what does it say for the guys who are on the roster? In other words, you can't forget the players and your criticism of the Blues, and don't just limit it to number 25. So Jeremy Rutherford joining us here in about 8 minutes. Meanwhile, Jackson has a question, and I want to answer it. It's this Little Piddles weekend wrap-up.
It is, Tim. And I do have a question. It's a baseball question as the season's about to get underway. ESPN did some rankings, Tim.
100 top 100 players.
They sure did.
And where did the Cardinals fall?
So they had 3 guys in the top 100. So I'm going to ask you, can you guess who were the 3 Cardinals in the top 100?
Gray, Arenado, Goldschmidt.
You got it. 47, 49, and 80, Gray being 80. Can you guess the top 5 players in the Major League Baseball rankings? Like a guessing game.
Can I just ask how many were pitchers and how many were hitters?
Sure.
Is that fair, or is that too much information? I don't want to ruin your little game.
So in the top 5, all are position players.
Okay, Acuna definitely
Acuna.
In there. Is he one?
He is one.
I was told for fantasy baseball drafts, and ours is a week from tonight, that Bobby Witt Jr., but he's not in the top 5.
Not in the top 5.
I guess he is for fantasy baseball.
He steals
bases.
bags.
Yeah. Tick-tock, tick-tock. I'd say Mike Trout is not in there.
He is not in the top 5.
Shohei Ohtani's got to be in there.
He is not in the top 5, Tim.
Oh, you're pleased because you knew that was going to trip me up, and you're so happy to see your plan come to fruition. That's what just happened. That was the look that you just conveyed.
No.
I knew that was going to happen.
Well, I'm just happy that all 5 players play on the coast.
Oh, on the coast, because you're a coastal elitist.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts is number 4.
Number 4. Okay.
Player on new team is number 3.
A new team.
He's a player who's just fresh on this new team.
And these are all West Coast, or are these including East Coast? Okay, East Coast. Juan Soto.
Juan Soto's 3.
Was that who you were describing with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Juan Soto's 3.
So what I got, 1, 3, and 4?
You have 1, 3, and 4. Yeah, you have 1, 3, and 4. 5 might surprise you. 2 will not.
How am I missing 2? Dodger?
No. Dodger for 5.
Freeman?
Freeman at 5.
Yeah, I was thinking Freeman to be live, but there was no way he was 2. I feel like I'm missing an obvious one. Just tell me because I'm getting mad.
All rise, Aaron Judge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I flew under the radar because the greatness was more focused on 22 than 23, but all right.
Yeah,
all right.
Corey Seager at 6.
Jeez. I wanted the Cardinals to go after him.
The first pitcher was Garrett Cole.
Yeah, I figured Cole would be one.
So my question after that fun guessing game we just did.
I like that. That was fun.
That was fun. What Cardinal, not named Arenado, Goldschmidt, or Gray, do you think has the best chance of cracking that list next year? If you were setting odds.
Nice question. I mean, my default click position would be Jordan Walker, but I want to
But do you think he's posed by the end of this year to be in the top 100 list? Maybe in the top 100.
I didn't see it in 2023 Major League Baseball, but you certainly, I mean, that guy in spring training last year, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if somebody is so great or so bad, you go, oh, okay. And they don't have a track record, but he was so great with no Major League track record, everybody was just buzzing about it. And then he got hurt in early March last year, and I don't know. I mean, it's not like he had a bad year. He just didn't have a year that I think lived up to hype. I guess it would be him. I mean, people around baseball insist Lars Nootbaar is going to go off.
It's the sabermetric king.
Listen, I hope it happens. I just don't. I'm really intrigued by Victor Scott. I know that wasn't the question, but I just want that on the record, especially with Nootbaar's uncertainty. But he's not on the 40-man, so I don't know what the hell.
Yeah, that's weird to me that he's getting so much play in spring
Right.
training. Like he's like starting more games than he's not, and yet not on the 40-man.
So, I don't know. I mean, I would say Jordan Walker. You know what? I actually think Mason Wynn could be live because of the speed and the defense. He could have plays defensively that just get him social media traction.
Yeah, and if he bats like 280,
right,
with 80
those are boring answers because they're the obvious ones. But I mean, pitching wise, who would be in there?
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I guess like if Michaelis tears it up, but even then,
happen. It's still not going to happen. The ceiling just isn't to that level.
Yeah, we've seen what the ceiling with Michaelis kind of looks like.
Yeah, good question. Also, kind of a sad looking.
Sad state of affairs.
Almighty. All right, let's focus on these doggies because we got JR coming up. I know you were on you had a picnic on Saturday night with your love interest. You guys did a picnic?
Yeah. Classic quilted blanket.
Which park did you go to?
Lindenwood Park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm a proletariat, meat and potatoes guy.
I thought you said you were at Tillis Park. You know, the McKnight one, not the one I grew up at.
No, they did Winter Wonderland Part 2, and I couldn't get in.
But that's a game I'd be curious. Like if I like to score hockey games during the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like, hey, the Blues really should have won this one.
Kind of like a boxing match.
Exactly right, 10-8. I mean, if this were in that scoring the doggies were 10-8.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was like, yeah, it could have been 5. So in a weird way, when they got the equalizer in extra time, you're thrilled, but then you take a step back and you go, that was...
There was more meat on the table that you could
So it's early season, and I suppose looking at it through that lens, just to be real straightforward with my assessment of it, it's encouraging that they had that kind of performance in the sense that there were so many great scoring opportunities.
Yeah.
Yet Lubin missed a wide open one that obviously he knows he had back. I wish he had back. At the same time, I have to think the Austin defender stepping right in front of his line, that's what triggered him to kick it over the crossbar. On what otherwise was, something that I think he makes 90% of the time. Had the goal post a couple minutes later. I mean, they were just all over the place. But it was domination. So in that sense, I'm intrigued to see what they do this Saturday in Carson, California, and if they can carry that over, because that was a dominating performance that, fortunately, it would have been rough if it would have led to a loss.
Yeah, definitely.
To get the draw makes it tolerable. And like I said, big picture, it's encouraging to see that those number and quality of scoring chances that they had. All right, Jeremy Rutherford going to join us on the other side of the break in his perspective after his column this morning in the trade deadline. His column saying the Blues roster and the players cannot be let off the hook. You can talk about Doug Armstrong all you want, but there's still a roster of players who are underperforming. We'll talk about that with JR next. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. This is Tim McKernan for the Bath Authority. If your bath or shower is old, outdated, has mold and mildew, or broken tiles, you got to call my friends at the Bath Authority. The Bath Authority provides the highest quality bathroom remodeling products along with a world-class customer experience. Their modern, durable tubs and showers are designed with an exclusive high-tech polymer liner. What that means to you is it'll be low maintenance, resistant to mold and mildew, easy to clean, and last for decades. Plus, comes with a lifetime warranty. Walk-in tubs, replacement showers, tub-to-shower conversions, and more. Every unit is custom built. You pick the premium accents and accessories. It's all there for you at the Bath Authority. Call today, 314-347-0410, and you get $1,000 off a new shower or bath. Plus, you get 36 months of interest-free financing. You are their priority at the Bath Authority. Elevate your bathroom to a new level of luxury, style, and safety. Call today, 314-347-0410, to schedule your free in-home estimate today and get $1,000 off a new shower or bath, plus 36 months of interest-free financing. TheBathAuthority.com. A better bath awaits. Jeremy Rutherford joining us here in a matter of moments. Looking forward to this conversation with JR. BK and Ferrario at the top of the hour. Selection Sunday almost here. Get signed up to play in this year's Bracket Madness Pick'em Challenge. Register to participate now at 101ESPN.com. It's free to enter, and this year's top scorer will take home a $250 Amazon gift card and a 101 prize pack. See the contest rules and get signed up to play in Bracket Madness now at 101ESPN.com. Brought to you by Bud Light and Twin Peaks. It is our pleasure now to bring the great Jeremy Rutherford on board here. Balloon Party. Good morning, JR.
Morning, Tim. Just want to give you a heads up. Got a little bit of a cough, so if I answer a question like I don't know why they didn't trade him, then that's all my answer is, and just trying to get by here with this middle throat injury.
Okay. I hope middle throat injury. I like that. It's very nice. JR, were you surprised at 2 p.m. Friday?
Not overly surprised. I think that a lot of the moves that this club is going to have to make are summer moves, and we've kind of been saying that for weeks. I know that we did make a lot of the possibility of Pavel Buchnevich possibly being traded. I feel like you have to go on what you're hearing, and they were listening, and I know that there were teams interested. But that said, I think I told you last week on TMA that I felt it was still about 10% chance that you're going to get that phone call and be wowed by such a move. The one thing that I was a bit surprised about, Tim, is a guy like Marco Scandella, who probably could be a depth defenseman for somebody, maybe a team not taking a flyer on him. But that said, he's making 3.75. It's prorated. I felt like they could get an offer there, but Doug Armstrong, as honest as a jaybird, said we did not get any offers on anybody.
How about that? That is something else. Well, you wrote a column, and you can read it on The Athletic, regarding, people are focused on Armstrong, and understandably so, but the roster bears some blame on where things are, and I want to focus on that because it kind of takes us to a state of the union at this point for the Blues. The playoffs are now, it would take a minor miracle for it to happen. You don't really have anything to get super excited about until the off season, assuming that the playoffs don't happen, now that the deadline is in the rearview mirror with no activity of note. And what concerns me, and I think concerns a lot of Blues fans, and certainly the organization isn't going to say this, and I understand why. They still have to try to get people in the building. But you may be in the same spot, similar spot anyway, a year from now, and they're just kind of stuck. And that's not a lot of fun to talk about, and it might not be a lot of fun to watch, because how much movement can there be to see what the future would hold? What is your assessment of the state of the Blues at this moment?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, because sitting here in March, we don't know what Doug Armstrong is going to be able to pull off at the draft, when a lot of action happens with trades. What's he going to do in free agency? Look, you have to leave it open-ended that he could surprise us, and this roster does look different at the start of next season. Maybe a couple of these guys do waive their no trades if they weren't willing to do so last year. But as you look at it now, it could be the same team next year, with the exception of, maybe you see a Snuggerud, and that'd be great for Blues fans to get excited about that. But you still have a lot of veterans on this team who look like they're going to be here. And this team, even if you're looking to the future, has to play better, has to compete. And that's what I wrote about today. Myself included, there's been a lot of focus on Doug Armstrong and the roster decisions, the contracts, paying guys. It put him in a situation where he just can't move him. But you've got a team here that's at the cap, $83.2 million, and you don't see an effort, and you don't see the skill, the production that you should get from some of these guys. And if you're going to have to watch that product for another year, these guys have to be on the hook. And so that's why I said you can't let them off the hook. I'll tell you a stat here that I found yesterday while writing the story. The Blues have not scored a non-empty net goal in the third period in their last 9 games.
Oh, dear me. Wow.
Yeah, two empty netters by Krug and Buchnevich, but they don't have a single goal. There's 0 goals for 75 shots combined in the third period in the last 9 games. And this is a team that's battling for a playoff spot. So, focus all you want on the roster construction and everything, but this team just isn't battling when it counts.
That is horrifying. My goodness. Wow. Well, and you write specifically on the game at Madison Square Garden on Saturday night, and the veterans contributing to the issues. You have Hayes gets the early penalty, setting up a power play, and then the Blues are on their own power play, and then they pick up a couple penalties themselves, and it comes from Falk and from Buchnevich. I mean, this isn't a case of youth gone wild. This is a case of veterans not living up to the performance expectations. And the thing that's so frustrating is I just don't know when the end is in sight, because one of the core issues is the contracts that are given to the veterans. So for those who are looking to turn the page to 24-25, I don't know how much different 24-25 is going to look. How much different do you think 24-25 is going to look, JR?
Well, that's the thing. And I think that even people who are understanding that this is a retool rebuild and then it's going to take a couple years to get some of these guys in place, like the Snuggeroods and the Dvorskys. And keep in mind, I mean, it's going to be 3 years, I think, before those guys can even, think about contributing and punching in 20 goals and being key parts of the team. So I think fans understand that. But in the same breath, if you're not going to a full-on rebuild where you're stripping it down and you're doing, as Doug Armstrong said a couple days ago in New York, that they want to compete. They want to compete in the NHL. You have to have the guys that you're paying $6-7 million, $8 million to lead you. And listen, they have to be able to produce. You go back to that Ranger game, like you said. Braden Shen failed clearing attempt. Falk, 2 penalties. I mean, this is not Zach Bolduc committing these infractions. These are veteran guys. I remember Doug Armstrong said at the end of last year, I just can't believe a team with Braden Shen, Justin Falk, Nick Leddy, Colton Parayko could be that bad. And as bad as things are this year, and as much blame as the roster construction deserves, these guys should be playing better.
Jeremy Rutherford with us here on 101 ESPN. JR, we've talked about this element of it as well, and you tweeted out Doug Armstrong's policy not talking about the head coach situation until the end of the year. But because of the roster situation and the direction the Blues may be going, or how similar the direction may be to this year, how appealing that might be for an established coach to go behind the bench. What do you think that means for what the Blues do at the head coaching spot?
Yeah, and I think that's that's a tough one, because I think who they hire and who's attracted to the job, and now keep in mind, all these guys who are unemployed or looking for a job would be attracted to one of 32 jobs in the world. The only thing is, if you look at maybe a veteran coach, Peter Laviolette went to the Rangers. If he's not with the Rangers, let's say he's out on the market, is he a guy that's going to a team that's got a lot of long-term contracts, guys not producing, and right. the franchise is waiting on Snuggeroods and Dvorskys and those guys to get there? Because if you're not winning in 3 years, you're probably gone too. So does that change the scope of what Doug Armstrong's looking for and who he's able to attract? So this might be a situation where, because it's a tenuous situation, that they stick with Bannister and or find somebody of that same ilk who can kind of steer the thing in the right direction until they can get through this.
What is the players feeling on Drew Bannister? I see you talked about what he was saying with the healthy scratches, and then Justin Falk, his comment, hey, he's the head coach. He gets the right to hold us accountable. If he doesn't think we're pulling our weight, it's probably a butt kicking that we needed, and try and get this thing going and try to put that in that work ethic. He said with how hard the skate was while in the New York area. So what is the relationship between the players and Bannister in your assessment?
It's a great question, and the way I'll answer it is this. And I've been talking to a lot of people, kind of around the team. What's the impression the players have of Drew Bannister? And I think by and large, for the most part, they like him. They know that he's trying to do well. But I do think this, Tim, he's in an unenviable position because he's being tasked to keep them accountable, which he's doing, right? But naturally, players, I've seen it for 20 years, when things are going south, they get tired of all the negativity. It becomes a situation where a lot of guys start thinking, hey, it's not me, it's the situation, it's the team. And then so you start to tune out the criticism, you start to tune out the accountability thing. So I think he's in a tough position because, here you have him trying to do the right thing, but yet guys are just going, hey, we're not going anywhere, don't even know if this guy is going to be the coach. And so I think because of that, maybe they get a bad impression of him or the situation that probably isn't even his fault.
Jeremy Rutherford, I would recommend reading the column on The Athletic. A really good piece from JR this morning at theathletic.com. JR, always enjoy the conversation. Thank you so much, sir. Get well with that cough.
Yep, we'll do, and we'll talk to you at TMA and the Balloon Party next week. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, brother. That's Jeremy Rutherford. Time for Jackson and I to head on out. BK and Ferrario coming in. For Jackson Burkett, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Munganess St. Louis Acura and Munganess Burkhardt Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel.